Hello, hello. Hope you're doing okay today. It is Saturday early for me, but figured it was a good time to just handwrite some HTML and CSS. So I don't know if people still care about that kind of stuff, but I think there's a time and place for everything. So I figured today would be a nice time and place for some handwriting, some CSS. So hopefully you feel that same way too, because that's what I'm planning on doing today. This will be quite, I think, introductory overall. I don't plan to do any brand new things nobody's ever seen, but if you're learning HTML and CSS, I hope this would be a good stream for you. Or if you're just curious about it and you're going to let AI still do a lot of the work, but you kind of want to understand some stuff more, how you might set stuff up. I'm doing a front-end mentor challenge. Just happened to notice that there was a free one that I hadn't done yet before. I don't have a pro account or anything, but if you do want one, they have a sale right now, so it's a great place to learn if you want to. But yeah, everyone, good to see you. Let me know if there's any issues with the audio or anything like that, but hopefully we're good to go. I'm going to switch over to my screen over this way, yeah, let me know if there's any issues. Looks like they've got a couple people here now. Cool. Let me just make sure I've got everything set up so I can hear you if there's issues. Okay, so as far as I know, everything's fine. I'm going to assume that's the case unless I'm told otherwise. But here's the challenge right here. It's just a little hotel booking site. I haven't done anything besides download it. I've got to open my code editor, but I haven't even touched it there yet. Speaking of the code editor, it's right here. Looks like they now give you CloudMD files, which I didn't know that, and agents. Okay, well, that's cool if you want to use it that way. And I know that there is a real benefit in like learning how to harness an agent properly, I suppose, if that's the right terminology for that. But let's just look at what we've got, what we're supposed to implement. Here's desktop, mobile, so we know we stack some stuff. And yeah, so maybe the first thing to do, again, this is supposed to be more of an introductory stream. Like I said, it's just early Saturday morning for me and figured that was a good thing to do. So let me open up Figma over here and I'll get this set up. And then maybe what we can do is just play around with how I would do this if I were kind of starting from scratch. All right, so we're going to call this thing, what is this thing called? Like hotel landing page or something? Hotel booking confirmation page. Okay, cool. All right, so let me pull a bunch of these things over here. I'm going to pull this over here. Let's see if it'll let me. Maybe not. All right, so let me get this set up, and I'll be right back with you. Just got to make sure I can see everything I need to see. All right, so I'm going to switch back over here. Let me know where you're watching from today, and if there's anything particular you want out of today's stream. Like I said, my goal is just to kind of do some basic CSS and HTML. And set this up. We'll probably use Astro just because that's kind of my thing and I enjoy it. So let me get everything set up here in Figma, and I'll do that mostly just so we can kind of talk through how I would do this if I was approaching this for the first time myself, if I were looking at this. Okay, cool. I've got everything set up on my end, so let me switch stuff back over. Hopefully you can see my screen okay. All right, so I just dragged these into Figma and just kind of thinking through how I would think through these things. It looks like we've got this nav bar. I don't know that we're going to have time to do all this because at some point I'll need my kids will be up in a little more than an hour, so I almost certainly will not have time, especially for some of these gradients and things like that, because I don't actually have the Figma file. These are just static assets. So we've got this mobile nav that we'll probably need to think through how we want this to be. It looks like it's here all the time. It's just on desktop. It stays present, I think. It's always there. So that's an interesting challenge. You could do that in a couple different ways. You could just have the exact same nav, which makes sense to me, and just show it differently on desktop versus mobile. So that's one option. You could also have a separate nav, I suppose. But so just kind of seeing what I have here. When we look at, these are like active states versus passive states. So let's not worry about that for now. I'm just going to compare these two things. And the first thing I do when I get a design like this is I start thinking through, okay, well, what is required in this design? So you'll see that this section right here, let's get this setting right. So I'm going to get rid of this. go strike here, and let's go red. And I don't know, let's do like 4 or something. Okay, so you can see here we've got this stacked version here. So on desktop, it's next to each other, and on mobile, obviously they stack up and down. So that's the first thing to note is like, okay, how are things laid out on the page? So note this will be kind of its own little section here. Same thing for these 3 cards. They're stacked, and they're stacked on mobile and then next to each other on desktop. And then these are the kind of the same situation, right? So we've got this booking is always going to be up top. Oh, I keep doing the same thing. This booking thing is always going to be up top. So this is its own little section. But this section is the same kind of thing. It's stacked on mobile and next to each other on desktop. So immediately I'm already thinking like Flexbox versus Grid. What makes the most sense? And probably for all of these, maybe not for this bottom section, but I think for the other ones, I'd probably just use Flexbox for all these. Like that would be my go-to. Looks like we've got this like hover to fan. I don't know what that does. So we'll have to check when we get over to the actual design. Okay, so here I am over here. Let's, first things first, let me go ahead and shut off. Should we shut off Copilot? Let's leave it on and see what happens. I'm going to try to kind of ignore it. I'll just use the inline terminal. Usually I use Warp or something like that, but that's fine. So what we're going to do is use Astro. Do I have like Astro npm create Astro at latest, I think. Except I would probably tend to use bun or pnpm, so let's just use bun. Cool. I'm using Astro just because it'll make some components a little bit easier to work with. And let's do it here. We'll call this hotel booking confirmation. And we'll do empty. Install dependencies. I haven't seen anyone say anything in the chat, so if somebody doesn't mind just making sure you can just say like, hey, I can hear you, that would be great, because I don't want to go like an hour and nobody can hear me or something. So, okay, cool. So we've got this booking confirmation build. This is what we're going to get started with. And it's just going to build out a basic HTML page, and we'll do what we need to with that here in a second. Okay, cool. So I'm going to move into that hotel booking confirmation main, and then we'll do bun run dev, which this is just a custom alias I have set up for that. Is that what we got here? Yeah, bun run dev. What is going on here? Oh, that was weird. I should build. My autocomplete didn't work very well. Okay, cool. Now we will install this. We get this up and running. And just to make sure it is working properly, let's pull this up over here. Localhost 4321. Okay, cool. So we've got it working. So before we do too much, we're going to at least get the content in there and kind of set it off with some of the basic styling and things like that. Again, just basic HTML, CSS today. If you want me to do more agentic stuff at some point, let me know. I'm not sure yet if that's where I want to take the channel, just because you kind of have to stay up on constantly on the trends, and stuff's changing so quickly right now. I use it a lot. I'm kind of realizing like it's like speed reading. There's some stuff where you just need the result, and so like it's fine to just almost fully just embrace the vibes and just yes, autocomplete everything. And just accept and give it direction, and then if it messes up, you just give it more prompts and you never really touch the code. That's one side, and there are projects like that where I use it that way. There's kind of this middle zone, which is probably most of the stuff I do for work, where I start with this prompt and then I refine it with my own hands, you know, and I take it from where it's at. Sometimes I'll reprompt, but most of the time I'm in the code itself, and very small changes, letting it do its thing, and you can iterate pretty quickly. And then there's this like hand done stuff, which is what we used to do. And I still really like that. I think there's a lot of benefit in knowing how to do stuff by hand. If you're going to be the reviewer, you have to kind of know how stuff works. But today is this category. We're just going to do hand done stuff. All right, first thing I want to do is we're not going to use Tailwind, I don't think. I don't know, maybe I should use Tailwind for sake of time, just because I only have like an hour. It'll be a little bit faster with Tailwind, so yeah, let's try it. So we're going to add Tailwind, I don't know that we're going to need React for anything. So right now I'll just add Tailwind and it will install this and give me a global, cool, button on dev. I guess it gave me that script, so why don't I just copy it right here. Usually I'd have some kind of layout file where all this is imported from. However, we don't need that. So in Astro, you can, we only have a single page, so it's not a big deal. You can see it automatically applied the styling. Let's go ahead and also close down the head. I guess I'll say like homepage or something. Okay, cool. Don't worry about any of the rest of that. Okay, so we can do everything else inside of here. Now I'll have components and stuff like that. We'll need to set up some custom styling. So if I come into where are we at? SRC, everything's done inside the SRC folder in an Astro file. But let's see, let's take the theme. Man, how do I do this again? Tailwind theme. They changed it on me. I think it's like this, but if I want some of the stuff I prefer, I'd probably need to do inline, but maybe let's not get ahead of ourselves. All right, so let's come back over to our design. Hand done stuff. Dante, welcome. Good to see you back. And glad you're still here to watch the hand done stuff. See, design, where am I looking at? Preview, style guide. Okay. Cool. So we've got all these right here. Let's see if I can, some of this stuff, like, I don't mind passing some of this stuff off just because like a lot of my streams where it's totally hand done, you end up having to do all of this completely from scratch, which can just take some time. So let's see if I start to do this, if it will figure it out. 900. Like this is useless to type out myself, so I'm fine having to do that. Okay, cool. Come back to the style guide over here. We did that. Oh man, we've got all this as well. All right, let me copy all this over, and then I might change some of these names because I'm not sure how helpful it is to call something sun. And also, I don't really have, because I don't have access to the actual Figma file, it's almost going to be impossible to actually match the styling because I don't know what these styles are, and I'm not going to like color pick every single color in this entire site to make sure I have it right. So we're going to kind of go off vibes and just do the best we can. Okay, cool. All right, so we've got that set up. Let's get rid of that. Typography. Oh boy. We got 3 different fonts. So let's come over here to our Astro Config. And you can set up fonts directly in here now, which is awesome. They have all this stuff built in by default, but I'm gonna have to look it up. Astro fonts, because I don't do this frequently enough, just when I record videos to know exactly what it needs to be. Okay, cool. I'm gonna look at Google font providers. All right, this is what I'm looking for. All right, so we're gonna take this right here, drop it in here. We need this, font providers, cool. All right, and now we're gonna pull this in. I should be able to pull all these in from font source because I think they also include all the Google fonts. Let's see, yeah, so all these. Why is pasting taking a long time? Oh, maybe that's why. Okay, cool, we can get rid of this. Let's see, and I don't need this one now. This is the kind of stuff I'm very happy to pass off to AI. All right, we're gonna drop this in here, and then in the head, we're gonna have all 3 of these declared. So we'll have font, and then, oh, and I also need, let's see. Where's the thing I was just looking at? Here we go. Font CSS variable. What are you doing? Let's see if it'll autocomplete the other ones. Come on, you can do it. Be helpful when I need you. Okay, cool. Last thing, since I'm using Tailwind, I need to come into here and do this theme inline, which I was thinking I might need to do. So let's get rid of this and say that we've done that, done all that. Font size 14. Seems awfully small, but okay, cool. We can shut that down. So back inside here, let's also have a theme inline. We'll have font. I guess that's fine, but this needs to be font from whatever that is. And there, okay. So now we should be able to define all these as we need to. Let's just make sure it's working. So if I come over here, I'll do class, font, this guy. Let's see if that changed anything noticeably. Let's see what else we can do. Text 4XL. And let's just see if this actually worked or not. Okay, I'm not seeing it applying, so let's just make sure everything's named what we need it to be. I wonder if this is the issue. Like that looks right. That looks right. When in doubt, restart the dev server because it's got to pull these files in so we can see if it does that. Fonts. Okay, so it's pulled these in. So this should be functional, unless I'm messing something up. Font this guy. Let's use this variable, pull that in. Okay, so something's happening. So let's come back over here. Let's redo this. Class. Did I name these things something else? No. That changed. Okay. And so did that. Okay, so I wonder if it's just this singular font. Maybe I need to actually pull this in directly from Google instead. So let's try that. See if it has any issues. I should pay attention down here. Okay. Looks like we're okay. So let's change this. Not seeing it come in. Huh. Does it name something weird that I'm not seeing? I don't know. Oh, we're not going to worry too much about it. It's pulling it in here. I don't know why it's not applying. All right, well, let's not worry about it. If you can see what I'm doing wrong, let me know. Otherwise, maybe I'll just pull in the Google script. Provider, font. Princess. That's the same thing there. That's the same thing there. That's the same thing there. Aha! Turns out spelling matters. There we go. Okay. We got it figured out. All right, so we got the font in there. What else should we be doing? We've got the colors in there as well. So let's start thinking about the actual layout. Again, if we come over to the Figma, let's see. What's the best way to get from Figma design with ShadCN into code in Astro? I don't know that Astro in particular is going to be a challenge versus another framework. Yeah, I mean, obviously you'd want Tailwind, which I just installed. You want to install ShadCN, which you can do as well in Astro. And then it depends how agentic you're being. So, I mean, there's a Figma MCP server, so you could connect it there and just tell it, hey, implement this. And then you can tweak it from there if you want to. Nice, Dante. Yeah, I take breaks and do like challenges for myself, which I probably should just record these things, but I don't know. I'm not really like a... oh, and Jade told me already that I misspelled the font in the global CSS. Thank you. It turns out I should pay attention to the chat more. But yeah, John, you could do it more agentically. You could hand roll it. But I mean, basically you're going to want to set up ShadCN components and style those according to the template. So you look at the button and make sure the button component matches and get all the components set, and then go from there. So I don't know if there's anything in particular in Astro that's different than another framework. All right, I'll try to pay attention more to the chat too. Okay, so let's look through what we've got here. We've got this mobile, or like this sidebar menu. So that might be one thing to implement right off the bat. Ideally, I'd have like components for all these. So like these would be components. These cards, I'd probably have this text component. Like this would be a text component. These buttons would be components. So these would probably be nav buttons. So maybe let's set up some components, and I probably won't do it as robustly as I would if it was like a finished project, just because we're talking kind of basic CSS here, so I don't want to overwhelm, because I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're newer. So what we've got is inside here, we've got these pages. This current page is the only page on the entire site. This is where we're going to put everything. However, we can create inside the source folder another folder called components. We can name this whatever we want. That's just by convention. And then I can do certain things, like I can have a button.astro, or I can have a link.astro. Now, if you're going to use something like React as well within Astro, which you can do, I typically like to make these TSX components so that way I can use them everywhere. But we're going to keep it real simple, and I'll just do a button. Yeah, let's do, I guess it's more of a link, I think, for both of those. Let me check again. What are we doing? Print receipt, add to calendar. Okay, so they're buttons. All right, so let's come back over here then. Say button.astro. And at its most basic, we can just have a prop that we've taken. So astro.props. And anything we pass into the front matter of the component we're about to create will be added here. So we're going to say button. And then these should probably be type button if we're going to be real specific. And let's see if this stuff gets in my way. And then whatever we want to, we can put inside here. So I can do this in Astro with a slot component. And so that way the slot will be whatever I happen to put inside of here. So very basically the way I'd use this is I'd come down here, let's get rid of this one, and I'd pull in my button component. Now you'll notice it's all uppercase, which we'll talk about in a second, but I can be like, hi, click me, that's fine. And then I need to pull in this actual component somewhere. So I'm gonna pull it in up top here, just keep stuff organized. Let's do components. And then we're going to say import button from components. That works. And you can see it says hi, click me. So if I click it, it's the button hanging out there. Now, obviously this isn't styled correctly, or like right now, but if I come over here, we could have class, and then let's just have it do whatever it wants for now, just so you can see there it is. So this button is actually whatever is passed in here. Now, obviously we've got a few different styles, so there's a few different ways we can handle that. Probably we would want to have some kind of tailwind merge if we're going to pass in custom classes as well, but I don't think I'm going to do that. So the other thing I might want to do is actually type the props here. So sometimes there's extra things you might want to pass in. So HTML import HTML attributes from astro.types. This is right. Declared. Okay, that's fine. So then we're going to have an interface. Interface props extends HTML attributes, and I want to pass in. See, this should be. I think it's just attribute. Let's actually just pull it in. No, it's not. Okay. Because I should be able to pull in a button like this. Okay, so now what we're doing is we're extending this, which means. I guess I can just do as props here, which means I can pass anything in that I would pass into the button here. So for instance, I could have like a REST component, and I pass in the REST down here, and then anything I would typically pass into a button, I could pass in here. So if I come back over here, we could pass in something like an ID. So the ID could be like, I don't know, the button. All right, and then let's inspect this. Right here. And it says the button has been passed in, but I can't pass in things that don't. ES code, where are we at? I can't pass in things that don't belong here. So for instance, I don't know, like what doesn't belong here? I don't know. I just lost all the other stuff I had pulled up over here. Okay, cool. Nice. What doesn't belong to button? Click ID. I'm struggling to think of something that doesn't belong on a button right now, but basically you can't pass in things that don't belong on a button is all I'm saying. Like checked, for instance. Like if I could try to pass this in, it says, hey, this doesn't exist on the type of button. So it protects you a little bit, and you know the exact type that you can receive, and then you can add additional things like specific items, props you want to pass in here. So for instance, maybe you'd want a variant prop like this, where you have primary and secondary, and here I'd want to take in variant first, and I'd want to set that as primary. That's fine, and then we just pass this in down to the class. So what I would tend to do is set this class structure up in a couple different ways. One is you can use like CSV or CVA or another component library like that, which works really well with Tailwind, or you can have like a list of all the things that are default applied and then which ones you apply if it's this type or that type. Probably more simply here, we can just define all the ones we want, and then on that one toggle, we can show one class or the other. So there's a helper here within Astro where you can pass a class list, and you can do exactly this. I probably wouldn't do exactly like that, so I'll show you what I would do. Whereas I would say something like button primary. Nah, I probably wouldn't do it like that. But anyhow, let's start with at least what we know to be true. So let me open up a sample button. Desktop design. And then I always get stuck talking, explaining everything, but let's just do our best. I don't know what like half these colors are going to be, so we're just going to have to deal with that. Let me pull this down at least so I can kind of play around with possibilities of like actual names of stuff. So generally, I'm going to say that this looks like it's something like PX4, maybe. And then like PY3, that's loosely. We'll say font is, I'm guessing this is, what are my options here? Probably sans, right? Instead of mono. Which I think is kind of the default for the site. So I should probably just do that as the default for everything. So let's come back over here to our kind of parent component. And I'm going to at least set a couple on here, a couple kind of starting properties. I think we also had, I have no idea which neutral color this is going to be, but let's say like color neutral. You don't have to say color. You can just go neutral, 50 maybe, something like that would be the background. And then the text would probably be neutral. Looks like maybe this one, 950, or 900. Just kind of guessing what it looks like there. All right, so that should be the default everywhere. Now the color of this text is going to be different, so let's start making a list of stuff that needs to be a little different. So we're going to have the color, text color, the background color, anything else? I don't think so. Okay, so those are our two options. We've got primary and secondary. This would be our primary, this would be our secondary. We don't have tertiary, but thanks anyhow. Copilot for trying to help out. All right, so let's start with just the default for everything. So I'm just gonna have the default be like, well, actually, I can't really do that because I don't have Tailwind merge. It's fine. So let's just keep like that. Let's say it should be that size. I guess we'll probably also like on focus, visible. We want a ring, 2, ring offset, probably the neutral 50. Neutral 50, we'll do ring offset 2, and this is just creating a box shadow as all these individual properties do. I think I'm fine with that. That seems great. So the next part would be how we have custom like things that are set up here. So for instance, let's see, did I not? That should be right. What am I doing wrong? Oh, this needs to be an array. So you can do an array of items in here and it's resolved. It uses, what does it use under the hood? I don't remember, but so we're gonna check on the property here of variant, and we're gonna say if variant is primary, then we want to add a couple things. So I want like the background to probably be the 900, neutral 900, and text neutral. I guess I didn't do hover states. I don't know what they're supposed to be, so right now let's just get rid of all this. And then we'll say otherwise, neutral 50, text 900, that's fine. Actually, this would just be the default, I think, anyhow, from everything, as far as the text, so I don't really need to change that. Variant equals primary. Okay, what in the world is going on here? I can't even see what I'm doing. Too much red stuff. Variant equals primary. Oh, I think it's... I'm setting this up as if it's a JSX. Okay, this should work. Okay. If I did that right. All right, so there we've got our variant. I forgot our border, our radius, which we'll add in a second. But that means I should be able to come over here and pass in a variant of secondary. And then it's the other color. That's all we're trying to do. Okay. So let's also add a... Let's come up here, actually. Rounded full. I think that works. And I guess we had a border on here, though. So we'll do border. There we go. All right, we're going to call that fairly loosely where we're at. Probably font. Is it font? I don't remember. Font, semi-bold. Bold, I guess. Something like that. All right, so that's set up that way. If I get rid of this or change it to primary, I have it set as the default, then it changes there. So I think that looks good to me. Maybe we extend this a little bit and call that a day. Now I can tab to it as well. It should be showing me this ring. I'm not seeing it. Let's see, font visible. I don't know why that's not working. Font bold, ring, offset 2. Ring is offset neutral, ring. I guess either way, I'd probably want this to be neutral. 900. There we go. So let's set this back to visible, and then I'll just have the focus outline none. That way we can see it. Okay, cool. So we got that working. What other components that we want to build out loosely? Maybe let's focus on kind of this main section before we do anything else. So again, I'm going to go full screen. And let's see, let's make sure. Okay, cool. We've got our button component, so at least now we kind of understand how components work. But let's scaffold out what this should look like. So I'm going to have at least a nav. I know that much. Let's see. I might want Copilot to shut up for just a second. Where are we at? Can we pause for 5 minutes? Okay. So we're going to have a nav. We're going to have a main tag, which is where all the rest of our content will be. All this stuff right here. Can I not be that big? There we go. So all this will be inside the main component. I don't know if this stays up top no matter what. And we already looked at kind of how we would break the rest of this up as far as structurally. So this is its own section, this is its own section, this is its own section, and this is its own section. So we have 4 basic sections. So to come back over here, let's think about those 4 sections. So we've got this top section, probably some kind of like header component where this stuff works right here. So first section. Then we'd have these cards. I don't really know what it's supposed to do. I'm sure maybe a design told me. Active states. Oh, it like shows a sun. Hover to fan. Okay, that's fine. So we've got like I guess we'd call it like a hero section. So here I'd have a section. Let's just give it an ARIA label of hero cards or something. And I'll explain why I do that in a second. And then inside the header, we have these kind of 2 sections. So that'll be, I guess we have 3 total sections. And then we have like, what are these things supposed to be? Detail cards or trip details. something like that. So we've got these 3 sections, and if I inspect the HTML, even though you won't be able to see much in the actual browser, and we turn on accessibility over here, show accessibility tree. Okay, see now we've got a button. Oh, that's this stuff. We've got these main sections. So we've got a header, we've got a section header. So all we know is it's a header, and then we've got these 2 different regions of hero cards and trip details. So those are your labels. You can also do it with in a couple other ways. Those pass on what these sections are about. So screen readers, other assistive devices, even AI as it's scanning your site has a very clear sense of what's in that without having to read every single item within that for accessibility. Yeah. All right, back over here. Can't find section, bro. It's right there. Let's get the text inside here, and for that, I'm guessing I've got some stuff over this way. Let's see, booking confirmed. This is all the sidebar information. Okay, cool. Let's grab this right here, and this here, and pull this over here. All right, so we've got booking confirmed in this. We don't have any kind of like heading component or anything like that, so that might be another thing we want to add. I don't want to overcomplicate this though, so maybe let's just keep it simple, which would be a first time for me, but there's always a first. So let's come inside here. I'm going to have this just be like a paragraph tag. We'll drop this in here. We're going to add a couple things, so we'll have uppercase, text probably small or something, text neutral, sure, 300. So we'll say that that's what that's supposed to be. Then we've got this next section, so that's always kind of on top. And this next section is where we've got the wrapped area. If you remember over here, these things kind of break up. They're next to each other or across from each other that way. This is a perfect flex box scenario. So we'll say flex, and let's drop both these things in here. So this would be probably like our H1, I would guess. So let's do that. H1 inside here, and then these are our 2 buttons. So I know this first button is just going to be a button like this. This one will be our variant secondary. And then the other one, just add to the calendar button like this. This will just be add to calendar like that. Now, because these are all pushed over to the left, there's a couple different ways we can do this, and then they wrap. Probably what I would tend to do is set these in their own little flex container, maybe with like a gap of 3, 4, something like that. We'll drop them in here. And then what we can do is say that by default, these should be flex wrap. And what was it? Justify center, I guess. And then we can say that maybe on like medium and bigger, we'll justify these between. And then no matter where they are, we're going to do items center. So they'll be aligned vertically next to each other. All right, so let's move these over. You can see that that worked amazingly. Booking confirmed here. I think our background color needs some help, so let's start there. I mean, I have no idea what this is supposed to be. Let's see. Well, maybe it was that, and I just didn't actually spell it correctly. Yeah, loosely. Let's change this to like 500, 400. I don't know what these things are. Okay. Let's go big here again, and this will also need to be with the full in like the space that it currently has. This nav, yeah, let's just leave it there for now. Okay. Anything else I need to do here? I don't think so. This header area, I guess technically we're gonna probably just have a grid and like a gap 4. I think that's fine. I don't think we need with full in there. Okay, so let's change the text here. So we're gonna take the class, we'll text, I don't know, 4XL, 3XL, something like that. And then this is also our font of this guy. And that font color should be the same. This will be its own little color. So let's grab this, and I don't remember what my global options were here. Terracotta, maybe? Seems likely. So we're going to have a span with text terracotta, 700. Why is this not auto-completing? Come on. Span. Class. Terracotta. And then we here have this person. All right. Loosely. That works. Let's just take this and make it italic. It's not quite right. I don't know what other options we had. Maybe 500. That looks closer to that color, right? Cool. Looks like the letter spacing is also a little different on this font in particular. Letter spacing, which I always forget what it's called. That looks better. Okay, cool. All right, other thing we need to do here is let's set a gap here just so that it's set apart a little bit as it needs to be. That works. Let's go big here. Okay, so I think we're cooking. Why does this thing have some kind of padding? Justify center. Oh, it's because it's still small screens. And then I get here and it goes all the way out. Or medium screen. So let's maybe change that around. Although we'll have this sidebar. It's probably fine as it is. And we probably won't show it till then. Maybe it should be small. It doesn't super matter. Okay, this whole section is going to need some padding, as you can see around it too. So maybe we should do that as well. So this whole header, and then we'll extract this to its own component, maybe just to make it a little bit cleaner. So this will be like padding 6, I don't know, something like that. Sure, that'll work. All right, so let's take this whole thing, and we're going to make it its own little component, just because we may want to use this kind of top section elsewhere. So usually what I do is I would have like a UI folder, and then in the UI I'd have the button, and then I'd probably also have like some like layout options, and then inside here I'd have something like, I don't know, header with some options as well, maybe multiple different headers. So it kind of just depends what you want it to be. Import button from button, except now we go into UI and then button. Probably, honestly, what I would do too is come over here. You can change this tsconfig, or you have compiler options. That's not what I want. It is compiler options though, but I don't want JSX. We're gonna do base URL. Let's see if we can figure this out. Come on, Paz. Okay, there we go. src. All right, so this way what we can do is take this, do components, and then wherever we move this, it will just map to it automatically. This isn't an Astro thing. It's just you can do this in a lot of JavaScript JSX. JSX. Oh, I guess. Yeah, I've only ever used it in JSX frameworks. It's just aliases. All right, so let's get rid of this. We don't need that there anymore. Instead, what I'm going to do is get rid of this. We're going to pull in instead our custom header component like this. And we don't even need to pass anything in because it's all self-contained there. So I do want the components here, and then we'll pull in header. And now that it uses this @ even if I move it around, we should be good. Okay, so now it's still there, which is what I want to see. Look at that. It's probably a little too much going on in the header padding here. So let's do like 8, and maybe we do 4 otherwise. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. We got a couple components we made. We've got this heading component that holds all of this. We've wrapped this so that on mobile devices that should wrap down like that. I think that's fine. Add to calendar, maybe we need to make that text a little smaller in the button component. So let's do that. So we'll say text. Get out of here. Text small, and then like small will be text base, which is just the default. So that way, hopefully it won't wrap. Yeah, there we go, on small screens. I say that looks almost decent. Do we have, it's always supposed to be left. That's always supposed to be left aligned. Yeah, maybe let's get rid of that. Let's come over here, back to the header. Justify center. Let's just get rid of this and see how this behaves. That should be fine, right? It just wraps. And then if it's on small screen sizes, that fits okay. I think I'm happy enough with that. Looks like maybe this gap's a little too big. That gap looks fine. So maybe this one could be more like 2, or maybe there's no gap at all. That looks closer to the actual thing. The leading on this also looks off, but again, I don't want to get too much loose or something. Tracking, that's what I'm looking for. Tracking, widest, which also means I missed it. This one, leading. It's not leading, it's tracking. No wonder it didn't look like it did anything. Okay, cool. We're gonna go wide. Okay, I'm happy enough with that. I think it's the best I can do without an actual design in front of me. Okay, cool. We've got this next little section with the cards, and instead of building it and then moving it to its own section, let's just bring this right now. We're going to call it hero cards. So we'll have hero cards, and so we're just importing these individual components as we need them. So let's come over here, and we're going to copy this down. Hero cards.astro, which means we have to actually have that. So we'll do hero cards.astro. And then drop this in here. Hero cards to Astro. Hero cards. Okay, cool. So now, as we add the hero cards here, hopefully this will, fill this out for us. So let's jump back over here. We've got 3 things basically, 4 things, I guess. Yeah. And I think originally I was thinking a flex container, which I think could also work. I'm almost wondering if it's easier. We could do flex and then just move it. Maybe that's a better option. Yeah, let's just do flex. So we've got these 2 cards and then this thing. I'm guessing they gave me images for those, but I don't even know. I haven't looked. Assets. Fonts. Oh, look at that. They give me fonts. But mine are optimized. So take that. Illustration Sun. So we do need that. Logo. Nice. Breakfast outline. Please don't tell me I'm supposed to hand create these cards. Because if so, it looks like I'm supposed to hand create these cards. Okay. Did they give me anything else? README template, preview. So I'm supposed to hand create these cards. Okay. Let's do placeholders, move to the bottom cards and come back up because there's just a lot more details in them. So I think they'll take some time. Yeah, so let's design. First thing I'm going to do actually is move. Yeah, let's move these images, which I think they are all SVGs. Yeah. Okay. So let's move these inside of here. Yes, I do want those there. And then we're going to move it inside here. And then let's create an assets folder. And these images will go inside here. And we'll call these icons or something like that. All right, so we can just import them as we need them basically throughout the site, which is another nice thing I like about Astro. Let's see, booking cards, we already got that. Main sidebar content. So we've got a couple cards. This is the receipt card. Oh no, I gotta close all these down now. Come on, here we go. All right, so we've got some cards. We got this one, which will be, come on. Why is Emma not working? So we're gonna have receipt card. I'm just gonna dump all this stuff in here for now. And then we've also got whatever the other one is. So let's get rid of this barcode image. Welcome to all this stuff. Okay, cool. So this will be host card. So we've got a div here with a host card. And then in between is where we've got the little sun icon, I think. So if I jump back over here, yeah, we've got the sun icon with the hover to fan text below, which I think will just show on desktop, maybe right below. Something like that. So let's grab all this stuff. Let's throw this all inside of some kind of flex container, probably. A flex wrap gap of like 4 or something, and we'll have to change that around in a second. And then underneath here is where we'll have the like hover notice, whatever that's supposed to say. Hover to fan. This could be a paragraph, I guess. Hover to fan. And then it has those little diamond star things, which I don't know if those are icons. Star sparkle. That seems about right. So Astro lets you just import SVGs directly, and it embeds them in the page, which means you get all the benefits of like current color you can add and stuff like that. So I'm going to import sparkle from, we're going to go into assets, icons, sparkle. There we go. And we'll see if this is correct. So let's actually set this up as a little flex. Items center. And then I'm going to add it to both these places if I can. I don't need a class on here because I have the parent controlling that. Let's see if that's the right thing. It is the right thing. Look at us doing things. Hover to fan, that works. Item center, gap, I don't know, 0.5. Cool. All right, let's call that good for now. We'll come back to the hero cards. Next thing we need to do is these 3 individual cards. Now, maybe this is a good idea for another component that has different possibilities. So we could pass in like structured data. So maybe that's another good thing to do here. So let's do that. So I'll come back over this way. Maybe we could even use content collections just to show that off a little bit. So there's this concept in Astro of content collections. And Astro content collections. And the idea here is that you can have individual collections that are entries. So here, like a newsletter or authors or whatever, and they can be JSON files, YAML files, any data structure file that you want. They can also be Markdown files, MDX files, but you can define front matter that's consistent across all of them. And then you can have like body of, text to it as well. In this case, we basically have some icons and some other stuff. Maybe like we can make this more of a structured data here where we're pulling in individual things. So there's a couple different things we can do there if we wanted to. So that's an option. I don't know. Is this going to be a waste of time to set all this up? Maybe, maybe not. But maybe just to show it off. I got a little bit of time still. We're not going to finish anyhow with everything I would want to do. But you start by defining a content config like this. So this is just in the root of the SRC, which is the build folder for Astro content. Content.config.ts. You can also do just JavaScript as well. Let me copy this just to speed us up a little bit. And what we're doing is we're going to just use a glob here. So we're defining both a loader and a schema. So the loader is just saying where this stuff is going to exist. So we'll do content, we'll do cards or something like that, where we can pull in these individual cards. And then we need to know what each one of them has. So let me come back over here just so we can inspect this. Can I look at this more large? Okay, cool. So it looks like each one of them, can I move around the screen at all? I guess not. So each one has like this text. Oh man, this is going to be a little bit more complicated than I want. It's probably not worth it because there's enough difference between them. Basically, it makes sense just to have a component. Maybe I could have a component a content collection that pulls in this top section, but then I have to pass in the rest. This probably doesn't make sense. But hopefully, if you're curious, you can check out content collections. I've done lots of videos on them in the past. Let's just make a normal card component. And here we're going to have card to Astro. And probably it's just going to be the border radius, and we'll drop everything else in the middle. I guess I could do slots, show you slots. That might be kind of cool. Like named slots, because we haven't done that yet. What am I doing here? This is probably like an article. I don't really know what we would. Maybe I just call this a div actually. So we've got this top section. So I don't know. Top. I don't know what we want to call this, but we're gonna have an icon and all the other stuff. Then this middle section and all this. So what we could do is say pass in a color schema, pass in your content, like all the rest of your content, and then we're going to give some named slots. So we've got 1, 2, 3, whatever those happen to be. And then we can pass in from like a JSON file, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to overcomplicate this. But let's have a slot up here where this slot pulls in two things. So we're going to have flex justify between and items center gap 4. Doesn't really matter because inside here we're going to have two things. We're going to have again flex items center gap 0.5 maybe. Here we're going to have an icon that's passed in. So here I can have a slot where I name this thing icon, and then I have to pass in that individual thing title. That works. And then we can have another name slot where we have, let's just call this like number. So these are the 3 slots you can pass in, and then everything else will be below it in this section here. Now, I guess that is the same too, so we could also have those as name slots, but it gets a little messy, so probably I just have like a default slot here where we pass the rest of the stuff in. And we don't even really need to take anything in here, I don't think. Yeah, so if I use that back over in my index, let's see, we have a trip details card so that we need to create. So we'll say trip detail cards. So it'll actually be a component that holds all of those. Let's pull this down here. That'll work. Nope. Come on. And then let's create that. And if you have individual pages, I find like dividing my components by which page they belong in, or if they're like more of a global thing, then that's nice to use those that way. Trip detail cards.astro. We'll pull this in here. Okay. So here's where all of the individual cards will be. So let's pull a card in here, and I can show you how those slots work. So import card from, let's go components. There we go. All right, so this individual card, if I come over here, first of all, label. Okay, cool. This individual card, you'll notice, has nothing in here currently. Why is there a... Did I miss it? Oh, yeah, there we go. It's like, why is there a little carrot thing there? So let's move this over this way. Hey, good morning, Richard. Thanks for joining. All right, so inside this card, if I want to have any content inside of here, I can come over here and say like, hi, and that will show up, which is great. However, if I want to add to those slot sections, so you might remember over here we had several named slots, like title, for instance. What I need to do, let's make this like a paragraph. Sure, that's fine. So that would show up by default. Let me get this thing so you can actually see it, trip details. But if I come over here and I'm expecting to be able to pass a slot in, then I need to name it the exact same thing. I just realized something on my header component is where I put this. I don't need this here. I want this on my whole layout. I was like, why is it stuck to the side of the screen? Turns out that's how it works. Okay, and I probably honestly would throw a grid on here too, and like a gap 8 or something. But we can get around to that when we need to. Drip detail. So if I want something to go inside the slot, like the title, I would need to pass in like hi or whatever. We could just say title, but then I need to actually pass it in the slot section. So maybe to demonstrate this, let me come over here and let's make this like a background amber 50, doesn't really matter. And you can see you can't see anything there yet. And the only way I can get something in there is if I name it the slot and say title. And now, why is this thing not showing? This is how to do it? No? It's been such a long time since I've done these. I thought that was right. Slot name icon. Okay, let's do named slots Astro. Documentation is your friend. Slot name identifier. Attribute target elements. Why is this not showing then? Slot name footer. Slot name header. I got that. Yeah, I'm doing that. I don't know why that's not working that way. So we've got the title. Slot title. What am I messing up? Maybe it's just the way I did this. Where are we at? Card. Get out of here. Oh, it's because I did 50. So you just can't see it. There we go. Okay, so it is working. So now you can see it actually shows up in there. Whereas if I come back over here, goodness, Chris, and I remove this, it's just going to be in the kind of the default slot section. So it doesn't have that background color to it. That's all I was trying to show you. But the nice thing here is then we can pass in these individual items as needed. Now, what I might want to do is import all the different icons we might need. So let me see if I can pull this back up and we can try to get a sense of what these icons are. So we've got like some kind of keys, Wi-Fi, and a bell. Let's see what we got. Assets. So we're going to import all these. So we're going to assets. We're going to say that might be the key, icon key. Nice. Import, is there like a bell? Breakfast, house, Wi-Fi. Nice. And the bell. Pin, menu, mail. Am I missing it? Breakfast, bed, barcode logo. Let's see. It's not going to be the pin, right? No. Breakfast. Oh, it's breakfast. Okay, let's import breakfast from breakfast. Okay, so now we've got all those. Now what I might want to do is just have like my data or like card data. But then when I loop over these, like I would need to have like these separate sections, I think, broken out here. So maybe let's not do that. So I'm just going to list these cards off like a cave person directly inside here. So let's say class. Let's do flex, gap, I don't know, 6, 8, doesn't really matter. Flex wrap, maybe I would change this to grid, but I think this makes sense. And now we're just going to individually call out these items. Now, I don't currently have a way to pass in a color scheme for this whole thing, which is just basically this top section anyhow. So that might be another thing, and I could actually take that in up top here. So let's pull in the color. That's fine, something like that. We can even type this if we want, which would probably help us because Tailwind needs to see it somehow. So what we're going to do is pretend we remember what the CSS classes are. We don't, so we're going to come down here. Blue and rose seem like very good possibilities. So we're going to say blue 500, rose 500, and then who knows? This looks like maybe somewhere in the terracotta family. Terracotta 600. He said with confidence. All right, so now what we can do is these colors are going to be pulled in here, and we'll use them in this section. So let's just say blue, rose, and terracotta. And then I guess what we're going to do is, Tailwind's kind of weird because you have to see the class names, or it's not going to compile, which is good because then it's not just compiling all the class names, but it also means that for stuff like this, where I want the class to be based off of whatever the color is, that I have to kind of have a way to show it because we have a background color and a text color. So I guess there's a couple different things we could do. One thing we could do, honestly, is just have like a constant. It's just like Tailwind crap, and then we just add them here. You can do that. You can also do safe colors in the Tailwind config, which is probably the better way to do this. But I don't want to have to look that up because I don't remember what that's like. So we'll do 600, and then we've also got text blue 500. Okay, cool. So let's just use that. So now they're in there, so that means Tailwind should see those and build those basically into the finished CSS file, which means now I can come in here and just say that these things should be Tailwind crap index of color. That's probably a better way to do that anyhow. Let's do that. Let's do color scheme. So what we should do is do like these named items. So if it's blue, then let's see, this should be an object. Oh, Chris, get out of here. Yeah, so this should be an object where if it's blue, then we have blue background and text blue 500. Let's see if it figures out the rest. It does. That's good. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so now what we do is just pass in blue, rose, or terracotta. And then this down here can just be the color scheme of color. So it knows like what the background color of these things should be. So the icon should have the background color of that, although I need white to override that. Which I can't just pass it in after without Tailwind merge, which I haven't added for sake of not being complex. Let's just hard code a style on here because we can. We're going to say color is white. Done. And then over here we can say class. I'm going to have to pick this off. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to say blue, and this should be an object that has background, and that's background blue text, and then let's let AI finish the rest of this for us. Okay, so now what we can do is pick off the individual thing we need, and I don't have to do the other random stuff I was doing. So we're going to pull off the background here, and that means I don't have to have this random declaration. Yeah, and let's, why not do a class list? Because either way, we're going to have text white. So the background color will be its own thing. What am I messing up here? There we go. Is that all I messed up last time? Is I just had it in the wrong place? Maybe. Okay, cool. Shouldn't that be in the card tag? I've lost the thread on that, Dante. I don't know which thing you're talking about, but hey, everyone, welcome. We've got the title as well, so this would just be the class here is just going to be whatever the color schema color. This is just going to be the text. Finish it off for me. Come on. String. What do you mean it's not assignable? What am I messing up here? Oh, put it inside an array. Okay, so that'll be good. And then same thing here. We're going to come down here and drop this in here. Okay, so now we can pass in blue, red, terracotta, whatever. And then that can get what it needs. And it knows it needs a color here. So for instance, if I pass in blue and we check over here, I don't have anything in the title slot. So we probably should also do that. See over here. Title, oh, it is there. Interesting. Background title. Text blue 500 is what we got, right? Is it and I just can't see? No. I don't know. Let's get the content in there and then we'll go from there. So let me lower this thing down. Oh, I got it working, Dante. Thanks. It's hard because my chat's like all the way over here. And I'm sure if I was better at streaming or like a real streamer, I would have all this stuff figured out, but I don't. I just want to code. So streaming is my excuse to code things on a Saturday morning at like 6 o'clock that nobody should be doing, especially today, but I don't know. Gotta have fun sometimes, right? What was I doing? Over here. All right, so we're gonna pull this in as our first example card in the trip details card. So most of my stuff is gonna be inside here. So let's just drop that in there. We know that arrival should be the title. We've also got a key slot icon. That looks right, actually. I'll drop the rest in there. Okay, so let's see if this actually did something. Arrival. Okay, so it knows where it's supposed to be. Icon is over that way. Slot of icon. So let's open this card back up. So slot of icon, I think what we need to do is change around a couple things. So this text will always be here no matter what. So let's get rid of the rest of this. And I think what we want to do is pass the slot icon in. Yeah, so let's make the actual icon the only item here. We don't need a list anymore. Let's simplify this a bit. And then what we're going to do is have this surrounded class. Where are we at? Okay. Where we surround the whole thing. So we'll do a div there. Drop the slot. Okay, there we go. Roundful. We're going to do like extra small or small or something like that. What is this thing supposed to look like? Yeah, something like that. And we'll do 10. Probably 8. Grid. Place items center. I think that works. This whole section, maybe this needs to be more like 1. Again, we're kind of guessing because I don't actually have the real stuff in front of me. This text white is good. This right here, color scheme text, why is this thing not applying? So this should be applying to this, and it's not. Blue text, so it should be picking off from the color scheme the color that they pass in, which needs to be one of those, and it is. This isn't even happening. What am I messing up here? I don't know, but since... Well, no, those are next to each other, so that's not right. But I could just set the color up here for the whole thing, right? And then I don't have to have anything special here or here. And then I just overwrite it in the one place for the icon. I think that's fine. I'm not seeing things right. That's not right. Text blue 500. What am I messing up here? Text. This needs to be L. Okay, there we go. So at least we got that pulled in. This number, I guess I did the wrong thing. So let's do it for the whole section. No, that's right. No, it's not. So it's this section. Okay. All right, we'll get it right. So let's come over here, close this down here. This can just be a normal old thing like that. And then we'll do it up top. So like this. Come on. All right, now it should be for both of us. Okay, that took way too long. Let's Can I also do uppercase here? Why is this not passing through? I thought this slot, the way it worked. Do I need this to be like a paragraph or something? Or a span? I don't... Yeah, do I need this to be inside of here somehow? And then... maybe they can only kind of be wrapper containers. And then you pass in the title, but that's still not working. Why? I guess you can make it a span and then that works. I don't remember, because I don't usually do individual items like this, so maybe that's the issue, but you have a slot. I mean, I guess all of these are uppercase too, so I don't really need that. Yeah, so let's just back out of that. Let's back out of this too. I can just pass the individual thing in. Doesn't really matter what it is, and then I'll just take the class uppercase and put it on everything, because everything in here should be uppercase anyhow. All right, don't mind me, I'm just getting lost in the weeds of implementation. I like how I want to do this. Okay, let's actually get this design back up. Design desktop. Pull this up to the side. All right, we're gonna come in here. Trip details. Okay, so this thing right here. We can, I guess we can change it over here if we want to. So let's say text is extra small, and then tracking is widest. Say something like that. Item center, we already did that. I think we're good with the rest of that. This number itself actually is gonna also present an issue for us. So I guess let's just have another div. Why not? We'll do div city, where we pass in, where's our number slot? There we go. And here we'll have the class of text base or large. I don't even know what it might be. And that way they can be different sizes is all we're going after. All right, cool. So we've got the first one here. It's the wrong color, but at least we've got the right stuff passed in. And then the rest of this can kind of be fairly similar, but I'll just do it manually in the cards, I guess. So let's do that. So let me pull it over here. We'll try to do it blind and then just see how we're doing. So back in this way, we're going to say this needs to be terracotta. Now we've got all that set up. Now this check-in stuff. This would probably be some kind of H2 or H3, I guess. There's probably a wrapper on this. There's an H2 with a hidden tag or something. But since I don't really know what that's going to be, let's just do this. We're going to do a class of like font bold, text bold, font. What's this one? Yeah, that guy. I think that works there. These are kind of all spaced out, so let's just do a grid of like gap 1 maybe. And then this guy right here, we're gonna steal the same color class we did at the top, which I don't remember what that was, so let's just guess. We're gonna do text neutral, probably definitely 500, right? And we'll drop this in here. This probably is also text extra small. And then in this particular case, we just have the rest of this as a paragraph. So I'm not going to argue with ease. So let's do that. This is probably its own little section here. Yeah, so grid gap 1. And then maybe this is more like 2. All right, we're going to say that loosely. That's right. Looks about right. Just got to make this a little bit bigger, which I forgot to do. So say text XL, maybe. Sure. Okay. And then there's also a gap between these, which we can do in the card itself. So we've got a gap of 4 in here currently, but that's for that. What we need is a gap here. So we're going to say class grid. I just like to let parents decide this kind of stuff because it makes more sense to me to kind of let the parent decide, and then you can use things a little bit more flexibly. That might be too much. something like that. Okay, cool. I think I'm pretty happy with that overall. Let's come back over here to Excel. We could probably, again, componentize that a little bit more, but I think that works. Lastly, let's come over here. We're going to have background, probably white. I don't know, maybe this is neutral. 50. Doesn't seem quite right. So I guess we're going to call this white. We're going to have a border. Probably neutral something. It's a little too dark, 200. And then this shadow, maybe a little bit bigger, honestly. And then we'll just do neutral 300, 100, 200. That's what happens when you don't have the Figma. That doesn't quite seem right either for this background, so I think it is going to be a neutral, like 50, something like that. Let's just check these two. So this one, FC, FB, whatever. Okay, so they are different. So I didn't get it right, but I don't know what it would be. Let's see, what are my color options again? Sun, neutral, 0. Sure. I mean, neutral 0 is just white though. Right, and this is, yeah, not what we want. I don't know, since these are in HSL and 100. Let's go back to 50 and let's change all the other things in the entire universe to 100. So I'm going to come back over here. Let's change this to 100. Maybe that gives us the contrast we want. Yeah, I'd say more or less. Okay. So we got one card down. Again, I don't have the actual files, so that's probably the best we can do, just eyeballing it without taking forever. Something like that. Cool. This, let's see, we've got a couple other things, I guess, to pay attention to. This right here. See, I think the font bold probably is good for all of these. So, not those, but this, maybe? No, yeah, this. Semi-bold. Did I mess that up over here? Yeah, I did. Font. Bold. Semi-bold. I don't know what my options are. There we go. Okay, so that's the right thing. And then this text as well needs to be the same font. Font. This guy. There we go. Arrival. That probably needs to be bolder. Why is that not applying? This should be applying to the title. I don't know. We'll call it good there. All right, let's just put the other cards in then. And then we might have to call it a day, unfortunately. I didn't quite get as far as I wanted to. It's just hurt when you're talking stuff out, and I don't know, it's been forever since I've hand-coded stuff too. Not that I think it would be significantly different if I'd done it all the time, but you never know. All right, so let's pull these in. We've got Wi-Fi here, number 2. This is Wi-Fi. We know the guest password. Nope, this guy. Whole thing is going to be right here. And then it's got 2 sections here, the network and all that. So these are their own little things. Password below is this guy. Okay, and then we've got 2 separate cards that are different. So let's come over here. Oh, it's got a little copy button. I didn't see that. So let's just set these up real fast. So again, I'd probably have these as some kind of grid container. Gap 0.5. And then each of these would be the exact same. So we'd have like a probably div, honestly, with the background of neutral 200. Padding px 1, maybe 2, py 1, rounded, small. That's probably good. Something like that. I guess we'd also want this to be flex, justify between, items center. And then let's have a paragraph here with uppercase, tracking widest. And this would be network. And then this other section probably would just be a paragraph. We also want this to be what? Text neutral 500. Sure. So this one will also be just a paragraph. And this would be Lisol, this guy. All right, cool. So I think we're mostly good there. Let's just copy this down. Well, let's see it first. See if we're kind of close. All right. I'm going to say could have been better. But let's also change around slot. What was this? Wi-Fi. What was I doing? Slot Wi-Fi. This is slot icon, and this should be Wi-Fi. There we go. All right, cool. And then this is also blue. We're getting kind of close. Okay. What's going on with this flex wrap? Why are these cards not? Oh. So let's make sure the card is takes it to full width available. There we go. Okay. Back to card details. I'd say that's loosely kind of sort of within the realm of possibility of where we're at. I don't know, 600 maybe. Text extra small. Why is this thing not respecting me? Right, it just doesn't look that small, but I don't know. Oh, it's because I'm on the wrong thing. Nice. We're not even looking at the right thing. Down here, 600, text, extra small. Small. All right, very loosely right. So guessed. Actually, this whole thing probably, from what I can tell, is like text small. All right, we're going to call that loosely correct. Yeah, okay. Something like that. Okay, so let's copy this down and let's just duplicate it. Password is going to come here. This guy is going to come here. And then we're going to have another thing for a copy button. Right here. So let's stack these together. Oops. Or do flex gap 0.5. Items center. These will be all the way on the right. So we'll have this one and then we'll have a button. This probably would be another opportunity to like extend that thing we had earlier, the component for the button, but we'll just stick with it here. What else do we want? I guess copy class, uppercase, border, px1, py1, could have been better, 0.5, rounded, full, border neutral, 50. Nah, Not even close. 200. That's what we already have for the background. 300. Incredible. 10 out of 10. No nuts. 2. Something like that. 1.5. I'd say that's close-ish. We have the text. Neutral. 600-ish. Okay. I would say that's loosely in the zone. This little gap could probably be more. Probably be less. Perfect. Okay, so we've got 2 cards here. Kind of thinking what I might want to do is just set these things up to be a grid. And then like on medium we go grid, calls 3. And then, oops, as I go big, they just split into 3 columns. That seems doable. All right, one more. So let's copy this card down. Again, probably there's a way to, I'd probably have these more as like individual items that are options in the card, but I don't want to get too complicated since this is supposed to be beginner HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So hopefully this fits the bill for what we needed today. Let's see, card. Let's come in here to rows. Okay, cool. And then this one is going to be breakfast for some reason. And drop that in there. This will be number 3. And then let's copy over all the rest. So 3, let's see, served at 10:30. Come on. Bottom section, let's see. Drinking white is known. Password below. Here we go. On the terrace, be this little section here. I would definitely want to componentize more of this. And then this is just a paragraph. Nice. I'm all for simple. Let's drop this in here. Is that right? I need one more. We've got this paragraph tag. What is going on? I can paste that in. Okay, so let's see if we got that right. I would say that's loosely in the zone, which is a fairly high praise. All right, so there we go. We got basically some components worked out, these cards worked out. Hopefully it gives you a sense of how to work with Astro. That was kind of my intention today. And just to code for fun. I probably do need to close it up. So we never got to these cards, which is basically just laying out the card and then having the star thing and a hover state. But none of that's crazy difficult. And then we never did the nav bar either. So not as fast as maybe what you could do with AI, but hopefully that taught you more than if I were to just sit here and prompt today and chat. So, okay, thanks everyone. Hope you have a great day, and whatever you're doing, may it be happy. Peace.